Welcome to the bottom of it with your host Josh Moriarty.
Hello, welcome back to the bottom of it with me, your host Josh Moriarty. How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Today's episode is with Hamilton Leithauser. You may know him from a band called the Walkmen, who are bloody awesome. Really like that band a lot. Some classic tunes, a song called The Rat. You may remember that one. It's very big. 2004 when all that new, what do you want to call it? When there was Block Party and the Strokes and Franz Ferdinand and all of that, and they put out that song. But it was it's its own, they were always their own thing, the Walkmen. I don't think they really fit in with that so much. I guess you can kind of be around at the same time, but they're their own band, very mature band. They've made a lot of great records. The last one came out in 2012. It was called Heaven, and then Hamilton went on to do his first solo record and pursue a solo career. So his first solo album, Black Hours, came out in 2014, and I bloody thrashed it, loved it, still love it very much. He has an incredible voice. You know, if you know his music and you know the things he's been involved with, you'll never forget that voice. So yeah, it was a pleasure to sit down and talk with him. We discussed his new album that he made with Rostam from Vampire Weekend. We talked about how you can become so obsessed with your own music that it can make you physically sick, drive you mad, new ways to find inspiration, all sorts of things. Here we go, Hamilton Leithauser.
He's working with a lot of different people. He wants to really keep it in the studio.
Right. So what, he's in Vampire Weekend from the beginning?
Yeah, he's one of the original members.
I didn't follow that band as much.
I did because I knew them from before they were in the band, actually.
Okay. Are you guys going to do more stuff together?
Yes, I would imagine we would. We don't have any immediate plans, but we got a lot more work to do. We didn't run out of ideas at all.
Right.
I feel like we still got some stuff.
And will it continue to be billed as Hamilton? Now, say your last name for me.
Leithauser.
Leithauser.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I heard you say that last night. I wasn't sure. Because is that sort of the best reviewed thing you've done? I noticed, I looked at the Pitchfork review. It's very good. I mean, I didn't check against Walkman things or anything like that.
I don't know. Walkman did pretty well there, actually.
It did well?
We actually did better than that. Yeah, we had some stuff that did pretty well. But I'm thrilled with the way it went.
Yeah, okay. So what, you have plans to get back in the studio and...
Yeah, I mean, I write music all the time. So I've actually been working on a lot of stuff since we finished this. And I don't know where I am with it, but I'm basically just always writing music. So I guess when I feel like I've got something that is a full record or EP, or probably more of a record, I'll release it in whatever way. I don't know. Whenever I get something that I feel like is complete and worth releasing.
Do you run out of things to write lyrics about?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's really hard.
That's the thing I find the most difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I find if you get to that spot, I just need music to, new music to inspire. Like, if you got all this music and you can't sing on any of it, but you like it, maybe there's a problem that you're not seeing with the music.
Okay. So what you guys would write, I was just trying to, because I think what Rostam said last night about one of them was sort of building the track, and then you were taking it away, and
right.
But I guess you do it all different. It comes in all different
shapes.
Yeah, I
mean,
and
that
forms,
was one where...
You can put your tea bag in here, that's what this is for if you don't need it.
That was one where it was at a trip. It was I think our first trip out here, 5 blocks that way, where we had gone into the room with nothing, and then he would start playing something, and I would try to sing on it, or he would build sort of a beat, in the way that I've always thought a rap producer would build a beat with drums and a bass line, and sometimes a loop, and then I'd sing on it, and then we got 5 of the songs that are on the record started that trip. It was a 3 or 4 day trip, and And at the end, he was building that one. And I was a little bit exhausted. And I knew I liked it, but I just couldn't. I was like, I'm out of juice, but I don't want to give up on this thing. So I took it home with me. And then he came to New York, and we were in my apartment. And I had it working on it on my own. And we were like, let's try that one. And he was just playing on the piano, and I had my stuff, and it just worked. And that was it. We wrote the song in like an hour after that.
Where does it come out of you from? Like, is it this thing that's just bubbling at all times? Because you haven't stopped doing this.
Yeah, I mean, I always write music. I just do it like, I get like this like obsessive behavior with it that's not always good. You know, like sometimes you need to like step back away, and sometimes you need to take a break, and sometimes I can't, and it'll drive you a little bit crazy.
Are you getting better at stepping away as you're getting older?
I try to realize that I need to let it go. And I would like to
retire from the fight.
Yeah, I need to like stop thinking about it sometimes when it keeps me up all night, or like makes me sort of physically sick, which happens. So
are you that's a tricky one, because you don't want to feel sick, but you don't want to lose yourself and this motivation as well.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. It's like a very imperfect system. You really, it's hard to know what is right. Especially when you don't have a band anymore, because you really don't have anyone to check you. So you can just fall into some pretty strange like thoughts and moments just by yourself.
Has it been, so this is the first time you've been a solo guy?
Well, I did. Yeah, I mean, I did a solo record a couple years ago, and this. So those are the two.
Yeah. So what? Black Hours was the first thing.
Yep.
Was that something that you? I mean, it's quite different from the Walkmen.
I was consciously trying to make it as different as I could.
Was it something that album was something you'd always wanted to?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it ended up having a lot of guitar and rock and roll on it, but the beginning idea was that I was going to have none. And I wanted to do sort of like a symphonic record. In the end, it got kind of halfway.
It's halfway.
Yeah. But I was pretty happy with it. I love the way it sounds.
It sounds awesome. I really, really like that album a lot.
Thank you.
So the difference between being a solo guy and a band guy, I guess no one to check you. Less debate, probably.
Yep, a lot less debate, a lot less scheduling. That's the big difference, the scheduling. Which is not great.
There's no scheduling when you first start, because you're just kids and you're just...
Right, you're just after work and you're all on the same page. Nobody's making any money.
No.
And you're, I don't know, we lived together, we used to live together in a tiny apartment in the East Village in New York.
Are you guys still, the Walkmen, you guys are all still close, or?
Definitely, I had one of them on stage with me last night.
Which guy?
The guy playing the guitar back to my left.
Yes, okay.
Pete, yeah, he was there. He's coming tonight too.
You're playing again tonight?
Yeah, we're playing at the same place tonight.
Yeah, 2 sold out shows, is it? That's pretty exciting. Does it, do those things matter anymore, or is it kind of just
part to me or to?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess to you, because I think about it, when you've been doing something for so long, of course, any success is great and motivating, I suppose. But I find the sooner you stop caring about those things, the easier it becomes, and it just is all slightly, not superfluous, but...
It's hard to not care. I mean, so much depends on... I have kids, and I live in New York, and it's expensive, and I don't make a lot of money because I play music for a living. So... It would be impossible to not care, but you'd like to think that. I mean, the reason I do it, if I was in it just to make money, I wouldn't be in it. I'd be in something else.
Of course.
I mean,
maybe I don't mean.
You have to just really not know what you're doing if you thought you were getting in this.
I think I don't mean to not care, but I think more to let go from stressing about the things that you can't.
Well,
control.
You try to do that in a lot of ways, But there's always something new, right?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult.
There's a lot of stresses in the world outside of the band,
I was talking to a guy last night, an A&R guy, who was, working through, must have been the late 90s and the 2000s, and just talking about the huge change. And now music has become a working class thing again, where no one's making huge amounts of money, and you really have to graft just to... It's
funny, I mean, I remember like right at the beginning of our band, and or in the 90s when the guys in my band were in this band called Jonathan Fireeater, and they're all guys I've known since I was like a little kid. And they got like a big major label deal kind of thing. And it was so glitzy and glamorous when they were getting it. And I was a little kid and it was like so amazing to see.
Yeah.
And then right at the beginning of our band, it was a little bit glitzy too. We'd go out to dinner with these major labels and we'd go to these fancy restaurants.
What was that, 2002 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, the guy showing up was more of just like this sort of, just one guy in some dumpy bar, and then it was just one guy, with like a phone, and that was the record label, and you just to see it in person was pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, I guess that first Walkman album was the Strokes and all those things was all still, it was the start of all of that, wasn't it? It was around the same...
I think our first record came out probably around when theirs did, but I would imagine, yeah.
Because The Rat, that song's, I think it's 2004.
I think that came out in 2004, yeah.
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 And that's, I'm just thinking about all the other bands around at that time and that movement, and you guys seeming like a part of it, but then kind of being totally off on your own thing from there afterwards as well, I think. Mm-hmm. And that song, I was telling a friend today, I was like, okay, I'm interviewing Hamilton from the Walkmen, and then like, oh yeah, I love that song, The Rat. And then the girl last night that I was talking to about going to the gig, that's the song, that's like the defining song for you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
But the first song that was ever released, is that right?
First song was ever released by us?
Yeah.
No, the first song was ever released by us is called We've Been Had.
Okay.
And it was the first song we ever wrote. The first day of band practice we wrote it.
Okay. There's just something I find about whether it's difficult when one of the earlier things that you write is sort of the...
Well, you can never like climb that mountain again?
Not necessarily, but I'm wondering if it's...
I think we got to the point after we did that where we were trying to play hardcore music, and we were just trying to rock so much that we sort of tried to just like out-rock ourselves. And that got really boring.
Yeah.
After that moment, we sort of never had the real desire to rock again in our band. Nobody listened to loud music. Nobody wanted to play rock and roll music, and that was kind of like a constant thing for me and all the other guys. But I had to sing it, so it was like I just don't want to go out there and have to.
Well, yeah, but I feel like everything...
Blow my head off every night.
You still blow your head off every night, though, don't you?
I know, but you sort of... and it's funny because we ended up writing a lot of rock and roll after that. And we had plenty of songs that did well after that, but it would usually be our rock song on our record that was the one that people picked up on the most.
Yeah, I'm not saying that there's no other songs. It's just sort of like there's sometimes a song...
No, I know what you're saying, but it's kind of the effect that it ended up having was that, like, it did cast this, like... kind of like it's maybe we kind of like lost like we were building up to it was always fun to be as loud and wild as possible till we got to that song, and then you had to be very careful from then on out about wanting to even go in that direction, because it's felt a little been there, done that, unless we had an idea that we all thought was like In the New Year, this other song we had that was like, it felt like it was very different, and that seemed like worth we're getting all worked up about.
Yeah. Are you guys, so that's totally done, the Walkman now? And
for now.
Yeah. Are those guys doing other...
Yeah, they do lots of stuff. Well, I've been working with Paul Maroon for since the last Walkman record. We never stopped, actually. He didn't work on this record with Rostam, but we did Black Hours together, and we did this record called Dear God.
I tried to find that, I couldn't.
It's only, we did vinyl only. I actually had it removed from YouTube myself. I couldn't believe that worked.
Like Prince.
Yeah, yeah. I was so impressed that I submitted the little complaint, and I got the email that it had been taken down.
One of the questions I've asked a lot in this podcast is why it is that people even create music in the first place, or what it is they think, that it brings to the world, or if it's just solely a selfish endeavor, or if people are doing it to, I don't know, share their thoughts and feelings with others. I'm interested to hear your take on that.
I don't, sometimes you find yourself thinking about that kind of question, and it will just drive you crazy because you don't have a good answer. And you can find yourself in a situation where you feel like it's so unnecessary to be doing this, and there's people in the world that are doing things that make things happen and get things done.
Of course.
That can create a real insecurity. But I guess the reason I actually do it is I have some sort of compelling feeling that I have to write these songs, and that I don't know why. I thought it would be fun to paint. My dad's a painter, or to write. I read a lot, and I just would think it would be so fun to write fiction. But I don't have that compelling desire to do either of those two things, and I know that I would need to work a lot to get anything to be at all good at either. I can't draw for shit, but I also know that without that, I have to do this feeling. There's a lot of people that have that feeling, and if you don't have that, this has got to be done kind of thing, maybe you shouldn't get involved.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's kept me going throughout. This music has been the only thing that I've always done.
Yeah.
And without it, it's difficult, like you're saying, where it drives you mad, but motivation has never been a problem for me.
Right. I've gotten close to getting bored of it, but I've never actually jumped off the cliff. I think we've been in situations with our band where maybe collectively we were bored, and that is not a good spot.
Well, I used to see when people would stop, you'd see your friends' bands finally pack it in and give up the game and the race. I used to, when I was younger, I would judge them a little bit more harshly and think, that they've failed, or that they've, why don't they keep going? But the more I stick around, the more I see why people would want to.
It's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. And soon as family and things all get involved.
Yeah.
And I think also just the music industry changing so much.
Yeah.
Are you a big social media guy? How do you?
Only very recently. Everybody in my band they all do it so much, and I've always been just nothing but creeped out by it. And I never did it in the Walkmen. I only even got it after I went solo as a promo for my new act. But now recently I see all my friends, and I see why it's addictive, and I see you find yourself
addictive.
Checking your whatever Twitter or something, and you think, what the fuck why am I doing this? I read that book, The Circle by Dave Eggers. Have you read that?
No.
I read it right when I got these things, and it's pretty funny. It's just sort of this dystopian view of social media sort of taking over these people's lives, and you definitely, every time I do anything, I remember The Circle.
Okay.
You should check it out.
Yeah, I need to check that one out. Is there a message behind what you do? Is there what would you want people to take away from it, or do you not think about that at all?
From the music?
Yeah. Or from your performance.
You like it. If you don't, sod off. Right?
I guess so.
I don't have a political message. I mean, I have a lot of political views, but I try not to put them into my music. Maybe someday, but not at all now.
The other thing, you've never. Well, it sounds to me like there's never any auto-tune or anything like that, unless you're hiding it.
Not yet. Actually, there's a remix of a song coming that this guy did, an electronica music thing where he did that auto-tune thing that everybody does now. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, but you're very comfortable with your voice, I guess, and what would be perceived as perhaps not flaws, but things that people would maybe, now that you can fix things, and I work with, a lot of people who are just constantly pitching.
I think maybe Rostam touched one thing on our record one time.
But that's what I love.
we have so many. I forget why we had to do that. It was in terms of like sloppiness. No, we kept so much sloppiness on our record. You can hear it. I mean, it's
but that's what's so great.
right.
About
There's like
it.
noise. There's like planes flying. There's a helicopter going over. There's all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of first take singing that's you don't know quite how to approach the song yet. But we kept it because it felt sort of like spontaneous.
I guess there's in an age when everything can be so tweaked and fixed and made perfect, it's nice to hear you not.
Yeah, well, I credit Rostam a lot with that, to be honest.
But it's the same on Black Hours.
Yeah, but that's
and the
because I had a
Walkmen.
band, and that's what I'm used to. I'm used to like you write your song, you take the whole band in the studio, you set them all up, and then you play it, and then you get the live wildness from the band, and like you do a take and it's boring, you do another take, it's boring, you figure something else out, and then for whatever reason somebody does something, it sparks it, and that's your take, and that's great. But when you're alone without the band, I never knew how to make a record without that, besides like singing and playing a guitar or something like that. And when it's two of you in a room, you got to be able to like build up the song and somehow also create this like live this spontaneous feeling, and that's really not easy to do. And Rostam really showed me how that can be done, because I had just never done it before, and I had never seen it done.
Yeah, okay. But so that album Lisbon by the Walkmen, is that all live, including the vocals?
Actually that's like the exact opposite of what we just did. It was like we were in the studio forever trying different arrangements on songs, the whole band going through everything, and I remember just like years, I would think, or maybe a year and a half or something, of like that horrible feeling of like you've just wasted all this time and you're not getting anywhere. It's sort of like desperation. And then we went to Texas, to John Congleton's place down there, and we just set up, and like he had this like very sort of cheapy kind of sounding thing, but it was a great cheap. I mean, I don't mean that at all as an insult. I think John's great, and I love his place. I mean it as a compliment. It was like exactly what we needed. We'd been in this like expensive room, and everything had sounded so perfect. And we got down to his place, we like sped up the tempo of each one, like 100%, and then we made that record Lisbon, and it sounded wild and more exciting, and that was it. And I think deleted everything we'd worked on for the year and a half prior. It was like 5 days down there with him.
Is there some like a final? Do you have a final destination or a final goal where you would be content with all of this, or is there something that you haven't done?
I don't know. I'm never content with anything. I'm not. I guess I'm just like. I guess I've started to realize that maybe that's just how I am.
I mean, I guess it's another thing where they talk about anxiety and depression and things like that in the music industry. I wonder, is it because of people are perfectionists in that field, or
perfectionists?
Are you one? Is that you?
I don't think that I am. No, but I'm obsessive, and
does that lead to unhappiness?
It can lead to discontent. Yeah. And you can get a little lost, a little caught up in sort of unnecessary stress.
So there's not some. You just keep doing this over and over on repeat until you.
That's
finally...
another thought that can drive you crazy too.
Until you hang up the
what's
microphone.
The goal, right? But if you just find that you like specifically what you're working on, and you are happy with, it feels like you're making some progress. I mean, there's so many times where it feels like you're making no progress, which is basically the most depressing feeling of all. But if you can get to the point where if it's still something you enjoy, and you feel like what you've done is worth, existing, then you can just, maybe try not to stare down infinity every time you sit down at the
So that's
piano.
Yeah, do you have you're not religious?
I'm not especially religious, no.
Yeah, I just wonder it's been interesting talking to people about what does keep keep them going. And I think one thing is sort of like this positive nihilism where it's all completely useless and an absolute waste of time, but to try and see the beauty inside of that and just find something to keep you going.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And I guess creating art, I mean, yeah, what else are you going to do, right?
What else are you going to do?
Yeah, a little bit. So is there plans for the future? It's just more records?
I have another big batch of stuff that I am really into. I've been doing it all completely on my own for the first time, which is...
Producing as well?
Yeah, I've been like playing everything and recording. I can, if you can find a new way of getting a little bit inspired that can help, like pick up a new instrument. I learned the violin.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you any good?
No, I'm awful.
That thing's impossible.
The problem is that I play with these people that are so good. Like Paul and Rostam can play the piano just so well. So I sit down.
Rostam's very, very good at the piano.
Yeah, Paul is too. Paul's incredible.
Right.
But they're both very different from each other, but they can really do it. And Nick, my guy from last night, is an incredible piano player. But I can sit down at the piano and I can know what I want it to sound like, and then I'll start playing and I think that ain't it. That's not,
But it does sound like you were developing. I mean, listening to the last few albums and then listening, it's evolving. You are developing and changing and things.
Yeah, this is very different than the last one. It was a big step.
Yeah.
If you listen to Black Hours, there's that song I Retired and Alexandra, but really I Retired. That's where we launched this record, was I Retired. And I think you can hear it.
Do you lose your voice?
Every once in a while. Not often. I have a pretty strong constitution.
Last night when you were singing The Bride's Dad, it reminded me it felt like Chris Cornell singing a Bob Dylan song.
No, that doesn't sound like a real flattering.
No, but it's like it's got a lot of passion in it and it's right up there,
Yeah, it's high. I'm a tenor. Or I force myself to be a tenor.
But it gets screamy and raspy, but
Well, I mean, I've been doing it a long time. I mean, those Walkmen songs are up there.
Do you have any hobbies outside of this to balance your life?
I play a lot of chess.
On the road? That's a thing?
I do. I play it on my iPhone. Chess.com. It's the best one currently. I've been playing for a long time.
Anything else?
I have 2 daughters, so that
It's a hobby.
takes up a huge amount of my time.
That's in New York.
Yeah.
How old are they now?
Just turned 3 and 5.
Right. Yeah, that's a proper thing. Does being on the road, are you on the road much anymore?
I haven't been for a little while, but I'm going to be doing a lot between now and next January, which is basically almost all booked up right now.
Right. All with just you?
Yeah. Well, I got my band.
Yeah. But at Build as Hamilton, Leithauser.
It'll just be Bill as me, yeah.
Exciting stuff. Hey, thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
That'll do it.
Nice
I
place
appreciate
you
it.
got here.
Yeah, it feels like a tropical paradise sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I'm always putting this tropical.
It's nice to have dark wood.
Thank you, Hamilton. Thank you for taking the time out. Appreciate it. It was a real pleasure to sit down with him and pick his brains about all that stuff that I've always been intrigued by, and is seeing whether he loses his voice or not. I don't know. When I was saying you sounded like Chris Cornell doing Bob Dylan, I really meant that in a complimentary way. He was amazing when I saw him the other night. I enjoyed it immensely. If you haven't, check out his album with Rostam. It's called I Had a Dream That You Were Mine. It came out recently and it's a great record. I think you'd enjoy it. Get on board the Hamilton Leithauser train. Cool, thank you very much. That's the episode for today. Plenty more coming, lots of guests, all that stuff I keep on saying. Thanks for tuning in to the bottom of it. Take care.